welcome to Read with Miss Olson and the Pigeon. Today we're going to be reading a story called Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. It's written by Judith Viorst. She's our author. She wrote all the words. And it's illustrated by Ray Cruz. He's our illustrator. He drew all the pictures. Today in our story, we are going to be reading a realistic fiction. Remember, realistic fiction means that it's not a real story, but it could happen. Could a boy really have a bad day? Yeah, but is this about a real boy? No. Our word to watch today is invisible. Can we say invisible? Whisper in my ear, what do you think invisible means? I heard you say that invisible means something you can't see. You're exactly right. So if you hear invisible in our story, put your big thumbs up. Okay, let's get started. Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box. And Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. So far, I've read that Alexander's having a really bad day. He has gum in his hair. He didn't get any toy in his breakfast cereal. Oh, I hope his day gets better. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Aubrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to be car sick. No one even answered. I could tell this was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Mrs. Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. Our word. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend, and that Albert Moyo was his next best friend, and that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off and the cone part and lands in Australia. I'm going to stop here. I want you to tell me, what have we read so far? So far, I've read I heard you guys saying that you read that Alexander's having a bad day. His best friend doesn't want to be best friends anymore. His teacher didn't like his picture. Ooh, I hope his day gets better. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said. I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy. And then when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby. And while I was pushing Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I'm having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everyone. No one even answered. So far I've read, Alexander's having a really bad day. He was fighting with his brothers and got in trouble, and he had a cavity in his tooth. Whew, I hope it gets better. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes. But then the shoe man said, we're all sold out. They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with the copy machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as I could be, except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said, please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner. I hate lima beans. There was kissing on TV. Ugh, I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony and not me. It's been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are like that. I want to stop here. Tell me what we've read so far. So far I've read I heard you say that Alexander's having a bad day. The cat doesn't want to sleep with him anymore. His nightlight burned out. But his mom is saying that sometimes we just have bad days. Let's keep reading. My mom says some days are like that. Even in Australia. In this book, Alexander had a really bad day. And throughout the story, he said every time bad things happen, he wants to move to Australia. Australia is a place really far away from where we live in Chicago. And that's where Alexander wants to go. He thinks if he moves to Australia, he can't have bad days. At the end of the story, though, his mom lets us know that even in Australia, you can have a bad day. Some days are just not great. I'm sure you've had a bad day before. I know I've had a bad day before where things just don't seem to go your way. Well, today, I want you to write and draw about why you think the author wrote this story. Why would he want to write this for us? Why would she want to write this for us? So write and draw me why you think they wrote this story. The author wrote this story. I can't wait to see what you wrote. Draw and write and send a picture in the comments below and I'll respond to you. Thanks for reading with me. See you tomorrow.